Hey guys, welcome to the comment session here. This is number 2. We have several comments over the past week. I felt like it was good to just read them out loud and answer them right here live wise because it's, I could write them down on YouTube, but this seems to be a better way to do it. It allows me to get on the air a little bit, have a little interaction with you guys and answer some of this stuff. And some of the guys are watching it because they responded in comments about last week's show. So, good evening, Teddy Bear. Luke, Jessica, sorry you feel like Dookie. I hope that doesn't mean you have corona or anything like that. Everybody else is talking about the protest. Of course, here today, January 6th, Congress was counting the electors, but instead of doing that, I guess some of the protesters got into the Capitol, so they evacuated. And it happens that my brother-in-law is actually there. So when you hear the news reports, you can actually... It's nice to actually have somebody who's there, can tell you what's going on, and he said that the news reports were totally wrong. He said it was totally opposite of what they say is going on. He says it's peaceful. He said it's very peaceful. If the news had something really, righty going on there, they would definitely show it. Okay. Jessica says, we do have the Rona in the Egan house. I'm sorry to hear that. That is too bad. And I wish you a speedy recovery as someone who has had the Rona and knows the wide gambit of symptoms that it can have and wide severities. I hope you are on the less severe side. All right. So, what's up, speculator? All right. So, I'm going to read off these. We'll take a little break here, and then we'll get started. I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to be. For people who are watching later, they can hear this at the beginning and know what I'm going to be talking about. They can decide whether or not something lights their fire or not. So, here are the comments that I'll be answering tonight or whatever, this evening. Okay, first one's going to be on the Hyper Tough drill video that I did probably a year or two back. The second one will be about the 2CFM versus 8CFM vacuum pump video where I put the Navac 2CFM with the True Blue hoses against the filled piece. And some of them are old, so I'm trying to remember, but they had like inferior hoses, like 1/4-inch hoses. There's a comment on that we're going to be talking about. And then Robert has a response from last week's comments and talk about the ECM, the PSC motor changeout that I did. And then another one about, I guess he's a train dealer, about the dryer design. We also have Roger, who is a homeowner, who's going to be talking about Bosch. So that'll be interesting. I guess he's a guy who owns a Bosch, so kind of neat. Wayne is going to be asking a question. This is more as an example on Wayne's. We're not going to be answering his question very well because it's very specific to brand. He did a Mr. Cool do-it-yourself unit. We're going to be talking about that. Victor has a question about electric furnace. And we have another question from Mike about vacuum hoses. And then Ty has a question about my HVAC company. So that's what we're going to do on this comment session. It's going to start in just a second. Of course, have to give the sponsors their love because they make the show possible. And we'll be right back. The NP4 DLM cordless vacuum pump from Navac features a high-performance lithium battery capable of up to 1 hour of continuous running time. Weighing a scant 15.4 pounds, this unit is exceedingly efficient and, for technicians, easy to carry and store. The NP4 DLM's twin-cylinder operation provides high vacuum down to 15 microns. To save 8% off this product when you purchase, go to TreeTechTools.com and use our Shop Talk discount code. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to let the show last about 30 minutes. Whatever we don't get to, we'll just cover in next week's show. All right. Jeffrey Arthur, how do I get a Navac vest? I guess you get sponsored by Navac and they send one to you. And I'm not a real vest kind of guy. I just never wore a vest like this before. I'll tell you what I have it on. But it's very warm. It doesn't have arms, so I have to wear something on the arms, but it's very, very warm. Now, each day, one of the things that I've been doing for the last few months, because, I don't know, throughout my HVAC career and toward the end of it there, I started to be less concerned about my health. And I'm trying to, reverse that and be more concerned about my health. So now I try to walk about 20,000 steps a day, whether it be jog or walk, mostly walking. I take walks at least once a day. Work out a couple times a day. We're doing free weights too, so I'm trying to do that. But it's cold here, so I got the vest on, and the vest works good. I had the vest, had a toboggan, had my Gorilla Grip gloves. It's hard to say. So Yeah, I like the vest. It's really nice. I'm just fortunate that because I work with them, they send out stuff. So, of course, people see their name on the clothes we're wearing. But this is really nice. So, if you have nice clothes, I'll wear it. By and large, I'm not a big fan of doing this like product promotion clothes stuff. But this is nice. So, if it's nice, I'm going to wear it. So, that's basically the summation of that. Okay. All right. Let's see. The first question is Ernest with the Hyper Tough Drill asks, and I did a video about this. It gets a lot of views for some reason. I guess a lot of people are looking up Walmart drills, which I think is what I called it, the Walmart drill. But it's Hyper Tough brand. It's just Walmart's thing now. Now they have Heart, but I think they still have Hyper Tough as well. These are decent tools for the price, but downside is it takes dang long for the one battery to charge. Other than that, they ain't bad for the money. Now, when I use this drill, the short period of time that I used it in similar drills, I actually would agree with this guy. I think a lot of drills like Hyper Tough, I have Bauer drills from Harbor Freight. I think they're relatively good, and Bauer's better than Hyper Tough because of the battery performance. I think the number one thing that lacks on a lot of these power tools is the battery life. It doesn't seem to last as long as like your DeWalt's and the highest tier brand, which is Ryobi, of course. All right. Someone say something about that probably. But, you know, like your Milwaukee's and your DeWalt's, your Ryobi's, all of them are going to have better battery life, better battery performance than some of the lower end brands. I like the Bauer drill I have. I used it today. I use it a lot. But then again, I'm not using a drill and all these power tools. Well, some of them I'm using more than when I was in the field. Because being a service tech, you don't really use circular saws and sawzalls as much as like a drill. And usually your drill can be really small, like a 12-volt drill if you want to. Like a lot of people use like the fuel products from Milwaukee. I had a rigid 12-volt drill, which I like, just for taking panels off and stuff, drilling holes. But now I use the other power tools because I do more woodworking projects and stuff like that. But you're going to suffer with the cheaper products on the battery. Ryobi batteries aren't the greatest either. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. We need to be truthful. You know, they're wonderful. I like Ryobi batteries. Are they better than like other? Maybe not. I've had a few stinkers, especially back in the day with the I guess, is it nickel cadmium, NiCad nickel cadmium batteries? They seem to go bad a lot. Like you'd put them in the charger and it would blink defective. We had that happen a lot. That doesn't happen as much anymore with their lithium ion stuff, and I'm talking about Ryobi. So I've been pretty pleased with it. I have had one of the 40-volt like lawn equipment batteries go bad prematurely, which really upset me because it's like a $100 battery. But besides that, I've been pretty satisfied with it. Let's see. I almost choked you when you said Ryobi. You need to go see a psychologist because Ryobi is great and choking people is something that you should never do. That sounds insane. I'm just kidding. Don't hurt me. All right. Whatever. Everybody likes their stuff. I like Ryobi, man. You're never going to change my mind. And if you don't like that, you can kiss my foot. So that's what I say about that. But Hyper Tough, definitely inferior, mainly in the battery category. It takes 3 hours to charge the battery, and it would die faster than a comparable battery from a better brand. But that's what we're talking about, Hyper Tough. I haven't bought any Heart products, but the Bauer products are definitely, they rival some lower-end established power tools like Skill and stuff like that. I think they're very similar in quality. Although the Skill ones that I got last year, the 12 volts and the 20 volts, they seem to be pretty good. I mean, Skill's made like a new push. They had those batteries with the USB ports on them, which I think is cool. So that's pretty neat. They ain't no Makita. That's true. Makita's much worse. I know that's not what you meant. I'm sorry. All right. Mike has a question here. 2 CFM versus 8 CFM pump. I like to see a Yellow Jacket Super Evac 6 with the Super Evac 2 valve with 2 3/8 hoses versus the Quick Oil Change 6. And I'm guessing the Quick Oil Change, you're talking about the fill piece with True Blue. I think the True Blue would win 80% odds, but I bet it's real close. Okay, when you get to the hoses being so large, you're going to have pretty fast vacuums no matter what. And I'm guessing that if you pull out a rig like the Yellow Jacket rig, which you know what, if you got the vacuum tee off of a Yellow Jacket pump, it might as well just go straight to the pump and forget about the tee. When I first bought the tee, I didn't realize that I could just get hoses that would go straight to the connections on the pump. Because you can order hoses with whatever ends you want on them typically. If you go to a store like Johnstone, I know that United Refrigeration was this way, you can find hoses to fit whatever. Just go straight to the pump. You can blank off. If you have a tree on the pump that has, let me shut that little noise off. If you have a tree on the pump that will just go to 3 different directions, maybe has a 1/2 inch 3/8 and 1/4, you can blank off the 1/4, use the 3/8 and 1/2. If you use True Blue hoses, I think that's the maximum amount of speed you're going to get, because according to the testing that I've done in my well-established NIST level laboratories, True Blue was the best. Now, the negatives on True Blue, and we're talking, I don't think I have a picture or something, but the negatives on True Blue is the fact they can't take positive pressure. So if you accidentally put positive pressure on them, they may rupture or something. I've never tested that, and they're so expensive, I don't feel like testing it. But that's what they say. You can't use positive pressure on those things, which is a negative. So if someone makes a boo-boo, they may blow up your expensive hose. So for someone maybe new, maybe skip the True Blue and do like a standard vacuum/charging hose, like a 3/8 or something like that. I mean, 3/8 most of the time, that's going to get you everywhere you got to go. So, I mean, it's just up to you. If you want the maximum effectiveness, True Blue is going to be it. Just be mindful of the problems. Craig says he has Appion hoses. I think Appion's great. Appion had really good hoses, really good quality, and they make hoses of all types and sizes to fit on no matter what. They have their huge rig. I want to say it's the Megaflow, something like Megaflow rig. I got no interest in the Megaflow rig because that looks like a god-awful contraption. But I think a couple hoses from Appion and the core removers going straight to the pump, I think you're good to go. I think everything's going to be all right. So, all right. And Jeffrey Arnold said never had a problem with True Blue. I never had a problem with them either. I never had an issue where I accidentally put positive pressure on a True Blue hose, and I firmly believe they are the best vacuum hose that's ever been made for residential HVAC technicians. That's quite a stamp right there. But I do believe that, and they showed it the best on the test. Jessica says she has a True Blue but hasn't had a chance to use it yet. I think you'll be pleased, Jessica. It's a really nice hose. One of the downsides, before I move on, one of the downsides is a lot of people, well, I don't know if people use their hoses for recovery and vacuum. I don't know how good that is. It may leave some residual in the hoses that might not be good. It might be good to have two different sets. But if you want to do an expedited recovery, you might get these larger hoses too. And your vacuum hoses and recovery hoses might be about the same size and same fittings and stuff, except you might have quarter on both ends of your recovery hoses. So I don't think you'd want to use both of them. But if you did want to use one set for both, of course, True Blue wouldn't work out for that. So that's a negative there. Or a positive if you want to use two different sets. I think when we had Eric Kaiser on the podcast, he said he would use two different sets. And I probably would too, because there's so much junk in systems you recover. No matter what kind of filtering you're doing on it, usually your hose is unfiltered. And then you have a filter dryer or dryer filter, and it goes into the recovery machine. So I don't know. I guess I'd leave it up to you guys. But in some ways, this is a question about saving seconds or minutes on a vacuum, and it's not really that critical. But if you want the maximum, you have to go for the True Blue. As far as vacuum. All right. Robert writes a response from our ECM to PSC discussion last week. A little background on this. I made a video where I replaced, and I hope this is the one he's talking about. I'm trying to go from memory here. Where I replaced an ECM motor, which was X13 on a Rheem gas pack with a PSC motor. And the good thing was that this particular gas pack, it had the terminals for a PSC already on their board. So it could go either way. In fact, they used a relay with the ECM motor. It had like a low voltage power running through it to go to the ECM because ECM X13s are started with low voltage. So it was really easy to switch this one out. So that's just kind of the backstory right there. And I just did that because at this point on some of these houses, they throw these ECM motors in there. The duct systems are not superb. So I decided to go back with the PSC motor. This is what Robert Wright, he makes some viable points, although we might have some disagreements. So let's find out. Let me read it again here. Since you brought up my comment, this was last week I brought up his comment, I will reply to your response. If the duct system is the reason for the motor failures, why don't you address that problem and fix that issue so they get the service out of the equipment that they paid for instead of the Band-Aid. A PSC motor on the bad duct system will cause issues as well. Like you said, poor airflow, longer runtime, humidity, didn't really fix the true problem. Put them back to the same situation they had with the old unit and were upsold. Now, I think he just miswrote here. Put them back to the same situation they had with the old unit and were upsold performance with the new unit but didn't address the duct issues. I think he may think that I put that unit in, which I didn't. I just came to service it. So I didn't sell the original job without the duct work, is what I'm trying to defend myself over, I guess. Train XV with train communicating, modulating zoning will fix the issues in the house. We have installed several, and they all love it. Provides consistent comfort. Okay. So is he right? Yeah, he is right. If you take out everything and start from scratch, you're going to get the best possible performance. And if you use something like Train XV, which he says VX, I guess, but it's XV, with Train communicating modulating zoning, I bet you will fix everything in the house if it's done correctly and sized correctly. All right, here's the issues that I have with it. And the issues are not with the quality of his statement. The issues are with the practicality in real life that goes into this. A lot of people that wanted to change motors to a PSC motor, once I explained why I was doing it, they're not going to want to go with ripping out everything and going with a Train XV system on a system that is, I think it was just 5 or it was like 6 years. It was just out of warranty. It was like 6 years old or something because it wasn't registered. They're not going to want to spend that much money, which could be $15,000, $20,000 on all that work to do that. There's no return on that investment. The reason why I wanted to use a PSC motor instead of an X13 motor is because of the reliability issues with that X13 motor. And I knew the PSC motor, and this is where it comes into somewhere we can debate. I knew that PSC motor would work and be more reliable even if it wasn't optimal. So if you want it to be truly optimal, you're going to have to go with something where you rip all the ductwork out and stuff like that. But that just wasn't the case here. And here's another spot where we can debate it, because I sort of made some of this call on my own. And I will do that. Where everybody says don't do that, I will. I say I will. I would in the past, because this is a few years ago. I would make the call to do what I think was correct and present that option and not present some of the other options, which would be a holistic solution. And maybe that's wrong, and it probably is wrong, but it's just the way I did things. I would make a call for people because you have to estimate what the cost of ownership is versus how much you should get out of a unit before you scrap everything and start over again. And I just didn't see it as a viable option. And maybe that's a flaw in me, and I accept that. I accept that argument. I have no debate there, because if you want to do something perfectly, I really can't debate that. But I'm not going to give you background on the family that lives there and stuff like that, but I made a call based on my gut, and it can definitely be debated. And I see your point, Robert, and you make perfect sense. The only thing I think that was incorrect is the assumption that I put in the unit originally, which I did not, but it doesn't affect my decision that we can debate about putting in the motor. So, I mean, you guys can put it in there. Let's see. I'm trying to go back here. Will the customer pay for it? I mean, that's the $1 million question. And I know we've heard it over and over again. Don't decide for your customer. But you know what? Back when I was in business, I would decide for my customer. A lot of times I would do what I thought was fiscally responsible. And it's not up to me to spend their money. It's not up to me to stop them from spending excess money, which I don't think they should. But you know what? Since it's my business, I'm just going to do what I want, and I'm going to tell them what I think they should do. And I will accept the consequences for that, and I can sleep fine at night. But it's easily debated. It's definitely debatable, because you could definitely see where he's coming from, and he ain't wrong about what he's saying. He's absolutely right. So I'm just going to give him that. Give him the credits due, that he made a good proposal for solving the problem. Absolutely. I like to think it's a little bit more down-to-earth interpretation of the problem. And I was there, so I know everything that was going on in the family life and everything like that too. So you have to take that into account as well. All right, it's Robert again, same fella from this last comment, says about dryer design. Train, and I'm just going to read this whole thing because it was an interesting comment. Train, in attempt to save production costs, stopped installing the dryer in the condenser and put it in the box to be field installed. On a heat pump for an upstairs unit where the installers would install the dryer in the attic, there was an issue with that Train described to us as hydronic hammering, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if any of you guys have experienced this, those in the Train world. When the unit would cycle off and cooling, there would be back pressure between the dryer in the attic and the outdoor TXV that would cause a knocking sound in the walls in the line set. So I guess this is the same thing as like a water hammer situation. I actually saw the TXV outside jumping on one complaint call. Train put out a bulletin that the repair would be to move the dryer outside. It's funny. After all these people saying it had to be inside, got to move it outside. I'm not saying anything. It's fine. I put them outside. I'm just going to say that. Train put out a bulletin that the repair would be to move the dryer outside, and their repair kit was a piece of copper to help move the outdoor TXV back to the original position. move the outdoor TXV back to its original position from its current vertical position. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Which basically meant going back to its original design, which is kind of funny. It's like, we had a great idea. Oops, it don't work. And the only reason someone would frown at replacing a dryer in the outdoor unit is because they would rather save time pumping a unit down than doing a full recovery. And I actually agree with that. I would not want to do a full recovery every time I had to change an evaporator coil, every time I had to change a TXV because I had to go get a dryer in an outdoor unit, which is something Train did, which is something Goodman still does. I think that's horrible that they do that and put it in the unit outside. Goodmans suck, but if you move the corner panel, they are not that bad. And he's right about that. If you take the corner panel out, typically you can reach the dryer all right. Just be smart enough to straight pipe the old location and put a new dryer on the line set at the outdoor unit for future return repairs. And I agree with that too. That's a great idea. You definitely don't want to put it back in there. That means you're continuing the cycle, and you got to stop the cycle. Yep. All right, see, where are we at here? Where are we at on time? 22 minutes. 5:50. All right, we got a few more minutes here. We'll see if we can't knock a couple more out. We'll save the other ones for next week. All right. Any other questions? Nope. Old Handy Luke says, just like hammering in a steam heating system. I don't know much about steam heating, but I know in plumbing you can get water hammer, and it can be quite ferocious. So, all right. So this is a homeowner. Maybe we'd save the Bosch one for next week because this is a long one. You know what? I am going to save the Bosch one for next week, and we'll do the other ones. Because it's so long, I don't want to rush into it here. Okay. So this is from a man named Wayne. Wayne is talking Mr. Cool do-it-yourself units. That are little mini splits that homeowners, they're advertised to homeowners they can install themselves. Hi, just installed Mr. Cool. And you got to feel sorry for this guy. You know, he stepped in it by doing this. Hi, just installed Mr. Cool. Cooling, but no heat. Darn. Error code P6. Please help. What could it be? I did lose some pressure during installation. A line broke, and I solder it back together. Would I need to charge it with Freon? There's so many levels of fear that appear when this question arises, and it's just, you can tell that this guy does not know what he's doing. And I'm not trying to insult him in any way. He's tried to tackle a project that is best suited for professionals, and I think he's probably the guy that should not have done that. And the lesson here, and I know you guys already know this, but when guys talk about putting these things in, say, please don't put those in. I mean, get a professional to do it. If you want to save money, go buy one of them Gree things or something like that and put it in. Or have a company do it, because when crap like this happens afterwards, then you can call them and yell at them, which is what people like to do. Now this guy's got a P6 code, and he's crapping the bed because he's the one on the hook for it. But at least when you have a company do a job, you have professionals do a job, there's a greater chance you're going to have flawless installation or good installation. And if there is a P6 code flying out there, you can call the guy and say, what the crap, man? You just installed this. Come to my house now. And probably they're going to come to your house now because they're going to be concerned because they just installed it. So that's the lesson there, but you guys already know that lesson, don't you? Okay, this is Victor with an electric furnace question. I have an older central electric furnace. I think that means central, just like central air, not like a brand name or something like that. I have an older central electric furnace. Furnace ran constantly and heating elements were on too. Replace sequencer and still runs constantly, and now the heating elements don't work. Any suggestions? Oh, Victor, what have you done? That's my suggestion. Because this is again, obviously a homeowner that has tinkered with his system. And again, the lesson is, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because you're going to get into a situation where you're going to end up burning your house down. And this is coming from a guy whose house is burned down twice. I didn't even do it. I didn't cause it. It just happens. Why put yourself in a position to have that happen to you? Because electric furnaces, they are janky machines. There's about 1 million wires in there, and there's about 50,000 loose connections, and you don't want to be tinkering around with that, especially if you have any doubt in what you're doing. Because you could have an electric furnace, there may be separate stack sequencers, there may be one large 15 kW sequencer, and you'll have 3 banks, 3 different sequencers under a different timing. And if you start tinkering with those, and maybe you see, like, let's say you have a 20 kW electric furnace, and you'll have 2 stacked 10 kW sequencers, and I wish I had one here. Hey, preparation would mean I would get one, but I don't have one. and they're on the same plate, meaning you install them as one unit because they're timed in a certain way. There's a certain timing, and that coordinates with the blower. So if you don't put them back exactly like they were in there before, and you don't get the same part, the timing will be wrong, and the machine won't run, and it may limit out. The blower may not run. You may have a machine that just limits out, and the blower is on the farthest timing, and it can be a real mess. And I've noticed that when homeowners say things like, here's a sequencer, I have a relay, a lot of times they don't know what it is they're talking about, because they could be talking about a different relay. And sometimes the blower relays look like sequencers, like in your Goodman units and stuff like that. So you may have a blower timer that's actually like a sequencer style, and it can be a real mess. So this is another case where you really need to just call a professional. And this guy, if he is a professional, I'm sorry. You just don't look like a professional. I'm sorry. That's not nice. All right. So he says he replaced the sequencer and it still runs constantly. Now the heating elements don't work. There can be many reasons for that. He wired it improperly or something along those lines. You never know. There's not enough information here to really make a good suggestion. Originally, the furnace ran constantly and heating elements were on too. That can be a million different things. It can be, lock sequencers, because if a sequencer is failed close, one of the sequencers powers the blower. Part of it powers the blower. See, in your cooling cycle, you get a G call on electric furnace and it powers the blower. On the heating cycle, it's kind of similar to gas, where the G call doesn't do it any longer unless if you have a heat pump with backup heat as your electric furnace. But if it's straight up electric heat, you're going to get the power, a 120 volt power, off one of the sequencers. That's how you're going to get the power to run the blower motor. So if you wire it wrong, it may be just running constantly. It can be about a million different things. It can be all the way down to the thermostat wires shorted. You never know. But if you don't know how to test the stuff, you got a big problem. This guy don't know how to test the stuff, so he's got a big problem. All right. Let's see what time we got left here. Let's see. Well, 6 o'clock, guys. All right. Let's save these. We'll save this next one. I'll answer Ty's question, and then we'll call it a day, because I have dinner and stuff I have to do. All right. So Ty asked me if I still run my own HVAC company. And as a lot of you guys know, I do the podcasting pretty much all the time now. I've done that since 2017. I still have done calls, and I still own a sole proprietorship. Zack Psioda Heating and Air. It's just sole proprietorship is real simple to open up. You just open it up. You use your social security number as your tax ID. It's the easiest business to open, but it has some of the worst liability protections of any business. The reason why I opened that business is because I don't do a whole lot now. So if someone calls me, I have an official way to take care of that call, but I have just a small group of customers that I work with right now. It's just really to satisfy some of the fun I used to have in the field. That's really all it is. It's not a business to make money. The podcast makes all the money. I haven't done a call in probably 2 months because none of the customers have called me. So because, well, I don't know if they call somebody else, but I think there's so few of them. There's only a handful of them that I work with. So they're just not having failures. But I'm sure in the spring we'll clean some units, do some stuff like that. Something that'll break eventually, and I'll head out. But really, that business is secondary. I don't do a whole lot with it, and mostly it's just podcasting, which pays all the bills, and I really enjoy doing. It's been a godsend, and literally a godsend, because God has allowed me to find this great second avenue in the later parts of my career. Now that I'm in my 40s, it's nice to have something else to do that's a little bit easier physically. And a lot of fun. Something I didn't know I was going to think so fun. I didn't know I was going to think it was so fun until I got here, got into it. But I really love it. It's a lot of fun. So I thank God for allowing me that second lease on life in the HVAC field. And thank you guys for watching it too. So, but every now and then you may see me do a call. I'm probably not going to film them anymore, because there's a million channels on YouTube doing service calls. So no one needs me to do a service call, and it's just easier if you don't have to film it. It was always kind of a pain filming service calls, because you get halfway through it and you get busy and you can't film anymore, and it's nice not to have to do that. So, Speculator, where are people submitting these questions? Any one of the videos that I have, and these are comments that I go through here, and I just grab a few of them that I think are good to talk about. You can put them on this video after it's uploaded. Just don't put them in the live comment section. Just put them in the actual comment section, or you can comment on any one of my videos on Shop Talk the HVAC training videos channel, Skilled Trade Up. I'll take a look at all of them and see if any of them are any good, something worth talking about. So if you have something you want to comment, you can do it here, any one of those places. Or you can just email me in hvacshoptalk@gmail.com, any one of those places. Rich, thank you and Happy New Year to you. I hope everybody's having a good New Year. I think it's going to be a really good year, Corona notwithstanding. I really enjoyed the last part of this year. I really think I found my center in a lot of ways, so I'm glad for that. I thank God for showing me that way, because he surely did. Absolutely. And I thank him for that, and I think it's great. So any other questions? Hamilton, what's happening? I think you're a little late to the party, Hamilton, but I appreciate it. Adam Woods, I missed your comment. Welcome here from the United Kingdom. It's about midnight, United Kingdom, isn't it? 11 o'clock, midnight? So, yep. You think 40 feels old? Just wait. Oh, I'm sure it doesn't get any better, but and I don't feel old, but I'm glad that I closed the door, Weasel. Close the door. So whenever my kids open the door during the live stream, I write down which kid it was so I can kill them immediately after the live stream. So that's what I'm going to do. But that's not a confession. That could be construed as a joke in the court of law, so don't say anything. All right? All right. So if you have any questions, you can comment them here. I lost track of my place because someone opened my door laughing over there, so I'm about to go beat them up. That's about it. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go have some dinner. And I really appreciate you watching. And I'll see you next week, probably on Wednesday sometime. There's no fixed time for this, just whenever on Wednesday I get a chance. And we'll do it in the afternoon because I'm trying to keep the evenings free to hang out with my wife and kids, have a good time, watch some movies, maybe a little below deck, maybe a little bit of ridiculousness. I don't know, something like that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.